Good afternoon, fellow Plexers. I've got Make MKV already loaded up, ripping the first season of Family Guy. There's 7 episodes on that, and this is going to be a video on Make MKV, Filebot, Media Info, MKVtoolnix. We'll talk about Handbrake briefly. I'm not going to demo it. We're going to talk about the differences of how shows are listed at TMDB and TVDB, with my preference for TVDB. And this first rip will represent something more typical, where you know exactly what you're getting because the episodes are listed on the DVD or Blu-ray jacket, the case. In this case, it has a synopsis for every episode and an air date. There's only 7 of them. It makes it easy. These discs are coming off in order. So the first title is going to be the first episode, and the last one will be the last episode. So the last episode will be the newest file, and the first episode will be the oldest, which means we can sort our file. We can sort our file manager by date to quickly rename them manually to drop them into Filebot. But let me talk about our 2 options to scan them into Plex, because that will come into play to rename things in Filebot. So TMDB is a very literal and restrictive database for TV shows. And it's also how a Plex library or a Plex TV show library is set by default. If I go to the advanced features, you'll see that I changed episode ordering from the default of the movie database to TVDB because I use that database exclusively for my TV show libraries. And the big reason I do is it will only show things that were actually broadcast on TV or that were shown from a streaming service, that type of thing, Netflix, Hulu. TVDB gives you more options, and the special season is where you really see that. So we have 25 specials, and these were all broadcast. Now over at TVDB, we have a lot of specials. The episodic specials goes up to episode 61. The uncategorized ones go up to 58. You got to put up with some advertising at TVDB, but it is what it is. So you're more likely to see something that comes off a Blu-ray rip or a DVD rip as a special. Or maybe here's something from Comic-Con 2008. That may not be on any of the discs, but maybe you can get it all from YouTube. This behind the scenes will come off from one of the discs in the series when you rip it. I don't know which one. TVDB doesn't tell you, but it's there. So you just have a lot more options for specials. And you also have an option of, let's go back to the main entry, of choosing, let's go to season 1, of choosing, I'm sorry, I missed something here. Okay, before I jump into a season, you have the choice of aired ordering, what is normally DVD ordering, but this has been changed to Disney Plus ordering, or an absolute ordering, which really doesn't come into play. So, why might you choose DVD ordering? You might agree with the director or the producer's artistic vision that a series should be viewed in the order they intended you to see it in. And why would there be a difference? Well, preemption. Some national news event happened where your TV show isn't shown one night, and then somehow the network has to scramble to get it back into the order of things. It might be next, or it might it might wait for when there'd be a rerun scheduled because of something else going on, and they might slip that unaired episode back in then. So the TMDB is going to be that actual representation of how the episodes aired and not how they were meant to be aired. Now, to be honest with you, if I have something in DVD order, I rename it to the TVDB aired ordering. And my thought is if the content had to be consumed that way originally, I'm fine with it being consumed that way. Someone else might want to use the actual DVD order because they want to watch the show as it was meant to be watched before it got preempted by special events in life. Now, why I do it is if I manually set some shows in Plex, and that has to be done at the show level. These are all public domain episodes besides a couple dummy episodes for this show, and this is something I'm testing out for someone in the Plexaholics group because it didn't pull metadata at first, but that's a whole other discussion. So say this show was set at the show level. By editing it, going to advance, and changing this to TVDB DVD ordering, I would then have to keep a list of this and any other shows I manually edited that way in case of a catastrophic failure to only my Plex server application files and not my media. If I didn't have a backup of my Plex server installed to reapply and that crashed and I had to start fresh, but my media was all intact, I'd have to let everything scan in, and something that was set for DVD ordering would scan in incorrectly. I'd have to come back in and manually change this to the DVD order to then refresh the metadata. If you don't mind keeping a list for shows that are set to DVD order, that's fine. Keep the list and you can make this change if you ever have to scan into a fresh Plex library. I'd simply rather have everything listed to TVDB aired ordering, even if I have to rename a few things from a RIP, and that way in case of catastrophic failure I can just rescan everything into a new library. It'll all match, it'll pull metadata. There's no work on that back end when you have to recover, and when you have to recover there's a lot of work recreating custom collections and things like that. So I'm just removing a step, figuring if it was good enough to watch in this order when it was broadcast, it's good enough to rewatch that way. Okay, so we have this finalized now. So now I can show you what is useful information now that it's ripped. This is the first episode, this is the 7th episode. I know that because the jacket says it's that way. And also, even though these are the file names that have come off, I have this source title ID 07 and I have a source title ID of 1 here. Now, I modified the default folder name that MakeMKV was going to use just to change it to Family Guy space season 01. So I can minimize that. We've talked about this to death. Now I can go in and you're going to see my test recordings, but this is the folder we're looking at. This is what we want to deal with. So I can simply look at the timestamps. I'm sorted correctly. Episode 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and it actually has a little numbering through this. So I can't rename these en masse. Let's see, can I? Oh, yes I can. I can show you a trick with this. I can highlight all of them and right click and choose rename, and I can find and replace text. So, well, no, this is not going to work because I have an 00 here instead of an 01, so I can't do it in mass. If this was 01 and that was 07 with a sequence before, I could do that. So I just really need to do this. And I'm going to just copy that to make things fast. So now I have to remember that I have to advance this one number. So that'll be 2. And this will be 3. And this will be 4. And this will be 5. And 6. And finally 7. So if you're not sure what I did, just go back and watch again. I knew the original files were 1 through 7, and I just simply named it this way. So now I can actually do this, and I'm doing it purposeful. I'm going to cut that out, go back in, and now I'm going to create a folder just called Seasonal 1. Then I'll move these into it. So now I'm ready for Filebot. So I can right click and can I do it? No, I don't have an open with. Well, maybe let's see what happens. No, I do open with now, and now I can choose Filebot and open. So I have a context menu under Pop OS or Elementary OS where I can just open with and choose Filebot. Unfortunately, the Filebot interface doesn't scale real well to how I've got my Linux desktop scaled, so it's hard to read, but it's S01 E00 through S01 E07. Now Filebot has a custom expression that names to TMDB. You just have to click here, but you don't see it because I've added my own custom expressions. If you haven't, you can click the control button and click, I'm sorry, I think it's the shift button. And now you'll see the original organized episodes for Plex that Filebot comes in. I don't want to do that yet. I want to just click match. And now in episode mode, I can click either the movie database or the TVDB. So let's just look. Death Has a Shadow, and I'll compare it to my jacket, which is the first episode. The last episode is Portrait of a Dog, and now I'll read up. Sun also draws, a hero sits next door, mind over matter, chitty chitty, death bang, I never met the dead man. So that's a quick confirmation that the TV or the TMDB order is correct. Let's do this again. Now this time when I hit match, I'm going to choose from episode mode the TVDB. And now I'll read down from the jacket. Death Has a Shadow, let me do this. I never met the dead man, chitty chitty, death bang, mind over murder, a hero sits next door, the sun also draws, Brian, Portrait of a Dog. So either method renames is fine. So it's very simple. It does not have anything extra. It does not have the year in it. It does not have, this will not create folder structure. But I basically have folder structure here. It's all caps, but that doesn't really matter. I've manually created the seasonal one, and these will just get renamed. So let me go ahead and do that. Now this is going to validate illegal characters, and by validate, when I click the button, it means remove. So we see these files that I manually renamed quickly now are perfectly, in a basic way, Plex compliant. And under Linux, I can't change this to lowercase. I'd have to make it different to do that. But let's stick with Filebot. Let's open with Filebot. And now let me hold down the Shift key to show you Filebot's default expression, organize episodes for Plex. Now this actually creates structure. What it does, it will create a local folder named Media, and then a subfolder TV Shows, which is like a library folder, and then it will create the show folder with a TMDB ID in it, and then create the Seasonal 1 folder, and then it basically names the episode the same way. Now notice it's not giving a year, but it is using the source ID in the folder. That's enough for Plex as long as the source ID is there. And this would be geared to episode ordering from TMDB. Now I'll paste my own custom expression in the video, but I'm going to use that. But first I'll show you how to create it. You edit the preset, choose a new preset, name it as I list it in the description, and then you paste the expression here. You change the data source from the movie database TV to the TVDB, and then you choose Airdate. And then you do it a second time and you change the description a little bit and you pick DVD. So this first season will get named the same way no matter what. So I'm going to delete the preset because it really ends up with this. And I've named my main movie preset with a -1 in front of it, and the main TV show preset that I use all the time with a -2, just to keep them up at the top. And it's hard to see, but I have a TV series -TVDB structure by DVD order. So if I choose that, now you see it's creating structure in place. In my videos folder, there's now a Family Guy 1999 show folder, the Seasonal 1 folder, and now there's the more simply named episodes without, there's no source ID at all. So it's just the same as the show folder, Seasonal 1, the episode name, and now with media characteristics. And if I pick the one that does it by air date, it's exactly the same thing. And now this is also picking up that there's English subtitles embedded. If they were not English subtitles embedded, it would show UND for undescribed subs, UNDSUB. So let me rename it this way. I'll validate it, continue on. So now we've got the renamed show folder with a year, same Seasonal 1 subfolder, and now these episodes are very descriptive. So at the start of the video, I don't know if I showed this. No, I didn't. When I set this up, I entered MKVtoolnix. Well, I can show you now. It's still open. So in here, I left everything. In the other episodes, I deselected everything besides the audio for the English channel and deselected all the subtitles, including the English closed captioning. I don't want those. I want the plain English subtitles. But now this first episode had an extra audio track, which I left in, along with all the other audio tracks and the other subtitles, just so I could show you this trick. So let me open this up in VLC and pause it. It opened up off screen, and you'll see all these subtitles. And if I look at the audio, you'll see the extra audio. This is a commentary track. And this is where MKVtoolnix comes in. If I right click and open with and choose MKVtoolnix, this opens up. So what I want to do now is manually deselect the Spanish and the French audio track. I want to deselect those extra subtitles. And I want to deselect, I actually don't know what this subtitle is. This could be the closed captioning ones. I'll deselect that. And now on this second English audio track, I want to select it and I want to change its name. Well, actually, I'll do the first one. I don't want to label this stereo. I just want to know that it's English, and that's already set. So now I'll go to the second audio track and I'll get rid of the English label and type in commentary. And now I'll start multiplexing down here, which is just going to rezip this as a new media container folder with a slightly different name. And you see it happens very fast for a small file. So now let's enlarge this. You'll see that I have this one. So if I start this in VLC and pause it and go to audio, you'll see the commentary track and the regular track, and you'll just see the one subtitle. So now I can boot this. I can get rid of it. And actually, I can get that one in parentheses out of here. And now I'll rename it. So the next thing to do is add it to my TestPlex media server. So let me open up a new window, browse the network locations, and I'll browse that Synology NAS. Now I use a nested folder structure. So the shared media folder is just named something simple, media, all lowercase. Inside that I have sort folders for each type of Plex library. One for movie libraries. You don't really need one for music. It's not likely you'll have multiple music libraries. One for other videos, one for photos, one for TV show libraries. And if you're using a trash guides setup, you'd want those incoming files to land here, and this folder just might be named lowercase sub nzbdd, and inside it there might be a complete folder, an incomplete, and a watched folder. If you're into that type of setup, you know what to do. This nested structure with one shared media folder on a NAS ensures that with a trash guide setup that you obtain atomic moves. So when one of the star apps, radar, sonar, or lidar, finds a file to rename and move, that movement happens into one of the library folders instantaneously. If you mistakenly set up multiple shared folders, one for movies, one for TV shows, one for music, and another one for your acquisition folder from SOB NZBD, these transfers are really, it's a copy from one location to the other, and then when the copy's done, the original gets deleted. This is like watching paint dry or like watching molasses flow, and it slows down the operation of a trash guide install. So this is the folder structure that I would recommend. Alright, so back to moving this over. I want to put this inside of the sort folder for TV show libraries and inside of my main TV show library folder. So that's what we'll do now. We'll cut it and we'll copy it across the network. And these files aren't so big, it won't take forever. And where does Ubuntu? Ubuntu tells me the time right here. Pop! OS's file manager tells me the transfer rate up there. So we have a minute left. So when I'm done scanning this, I'm going to stop the video and then I'll restart a new one, and we'll start ripping the other disk, the Casper Scare School one, and then I'll join the videos later. I'm using Ubuntu with everything freshly installed, and I don't want to risk not having OBS Studio configured correctly and having it stop on me during the filming, during the recording. Okay, so while this is almost finished, let's bring Plex back into it. And because this is set to detect file system changes automatically, it's already looking for this new content. So if I go back to the TV show, this is scanned in correctly. It's named from the TVDB for aired ordering. That's how the library is set up globally. And it's just pulling metadata. And I don't know why it found episode 5 first, but it will find everything momentarily. Okay, so it's scanning, and it found the other 7 episodes, and it all pulled in nicely. Okay, so that's the first show, or the first show. Let me pop that disc out, and before I end this video, let's get the Casper Scare School ripping. Okay, so back to make MKV. It takes a little bit to get the disk loaded. When this animation stops spinning, we can click on it to then have it load further. So what's going on with the Plex server? So it's detecting intros. That happens fairly quickly. My server is powered by a 11th gen mobile processor in an Intel branded NUC, powered by Unraid, that points back to my media on my Synology NAS. Okay, so this disk is taking a little bit longer to read, and I don't know the mechanics of it, but I know that make MKV is pretty slick at what it does, and the final results are usually perfect. Alright, let me pause this recording and I'll get back to you. Okay, it didn't take too long, so now that it's done doing its thing, I can click on this. Oh, it did not do its thing. I have an issue. No disk inserted. Alright, so I'm going to end this video, see if I can figure this out, and then I'll join the next video to this. And I'm back. I had a dirty disk. It had a whole bunch of fingerprint smudges on it, and I think it should be fine now that I've cleaned it off. I just used my normal mild eyeglass cleaner and a soft towel that I use on my glasses and my phone and my tablet. Okay, so that really happened quickly. So let me click on the icon of the drive, and let's see how long this takes to read everything. And while we're at, oh, that was too fast to even cut away from. So, I want to get rid of this 4.4 gigabyte file. That's nothing I want. And we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 episodes. But I don't really think I can use this source title ID. This would be 3. This says 5. I just don't think that's going to correspond to anything. So hopefully these will come off in some sort of order. But before I do anything, let me open all of them up. And we'll get rid of the extra. I don't need that one. Extra audio track. I'm just going to deselect the Spanish track. And I'll leave the closed captioning on it because there's not an actual regular subtitle to use instead. and no commentary audio. Okay, so that's all done. The last thing I'll do is might as well fix this a little bit to give Filebot an even easier time. And trust me, it's always better to remember what season you're dealing with and maybe even write that on a sticky pad right in front of your eyeball someplace when you get to the point of being able to work with the media once it's ripped. Okay, so we are ripping. So I've got time to talk a little bit. I will pause the video to wait for this to finish fully. Oh, I don't need that. Let's talk about this show. So I've loaded it up at TMDB and TVDB. So let's go in and take a look at this in Season 2. We have 52 episodes. And what did I say? 12 or 13 are coming off the disc. Over at TVDB, we have a DVD order and a aired order. So let's open the DVD in a new tab and we'll look at Season 2 over here. And we'll get into Season 2 there. And then, let me do this first. Let me pull this out so we can compare it to TMDB. Alright, so Monster Movie, Quacky Duck, Doppelgangers, Totally Bats, Crappy Mail Order, Pumpkin Pal, The Day the Professor Croaked, The Bellyache Mystery, A Potent Brew, Goodbye Jimmy. Okay, so we have a change between the two databases, I think. There's not an episode 11 listed. Look at that. Poltergeist Assignment, Season 2, Episode 11. There's nothing over here. So then Little Dragon, A Haunting Smell, Thatch My Idol. Okay, so that's 15. The matter has disappeared. What did I do? Oh, I think I'm good. Monster Catcher, Home Alone, I'm a Hero, Dream Team. So this is kind of like boring, but it needs to be done just to see. So now I'm just going to scroll down and see if it stays in the same sequence. Typewriter from Hell, 27 is Ghostwriter, 31 is Love Potion, 35 is Jack Out of the Box, 40 is Save Graham, 43 Woodward's Day Out, that's a match, 47 The Great Screenboard Disgrace, and the last couple Mummy's Boy and Last Dance. So this is weird that we're missing one episode, and I don't know why that is, but again, I prefer TVDB to TMDB. So now let's bring this back over and let's pull the DVD ordering out and see how it compares with the two listings at TVDB, aired and DVD. Well, I noticed something right off the bat that's strange. Season 2, Episode 1, Season 2... Alright, let me make sure I've got this right. Aired order, Season 2. Okay, I didn't have it right. I had it reversed. I could have just swapped windows. Okay, so Season 2, Episode 1, Episode 2, 3, Monster Movie, Quacky Duck, Doppelgangers. Well, Monster Movie, Quacky Duck are both listed as Season 02, Episode 01 from the DVD order, and that's usually not done that way. Usually you'd see Season 02 E01, and then the episode name would have both names in it. This is really weird. This DVD order isn't going to be useful at all to Plex because we can't have two separate episodes named the same way unless they were joined in one file. So if the first episode that we have that comes off the rip are both these episodes in one file, I know how to name it appropriately, just Season 02 E01. But if they're separate ones, we may be looking at this aired order listing, which kind of makes this DVD ordering unique because it's not usually this way. So there's always something wacky, and this is kind of a good reason to use this wacky rip to show how to compensate when even the database doesn't agree. And remember, only TVDB has the DVD or the Blu-ray ordering. Okay, so let's see how we're doing. 10 minutes left. I can't talk about anything interesting for 10 minutes, so I will come back. Actually, I'm going to end this video because I'll come back after dinner and start anew. Alrighty, I'm back for the rest of this video, and I had to get out of Ubuntu. OBS wasn't behaving properly with the Wayland session, and I decided to boot back into Pop! OS to finish this video. So I have to rip the disk again. Alright, so I'm going to pause this and get this ripping again, and then I'll pop back in and we'll discover how to prep and name everything. Okay, so we're still ripping. There's 6 minutes left, but I can start looking into some of these files as long as I don't go too fast. So let's bring up the two databases. And actually I need to fix this one. Because we still have to determine what's correct and what's not correct. Are we going to have two episodes in one file, or will we have files that are individual episodes like this? All right, let's make sure Season 2 for both of them. So the only way I know how to identify a cartoon is to open it up. Okay, it opened up on my other monitor. So let's get to about 33 seconds. Monster Movie. So we knew that was going to probably be the case. Now we don't know if Quacky Duck is part of that same file or the next one. So let's just move on to the next video. Alright, and there we have Quacky Duck. So we're not using this DVD entry. So let me rename both of these two different ways. I'll copy the episode title. Now we know that's Quacky Duck. So this time I will copy both the season and episode coding and the episode name. Okay, so it's up to 8 so far out of I think 12 episodes. So let's see what this one is that's labeled 3. Doppelgangers. So let's just take the name of this one. All right, if we're following suit, the next one should be totally bats. All right, so what this tells me is the previous episode had the show's lead into it with its theme music. This one doesn't. Every other one doesn't have it. So this is some sort of repackaging because it's obvious these two individual episodes aired at the same time from the DVD listing. So this may not be an official DVD release. I mean, it's official. They've got a license someplace. They've repackaged it their own way. So let's name this like that. Let's see if all of them follow the same pattern from here on out. So we're expecting Cappy's mail order eyes. And we got that. We got just what we were expecting. All right, let's see how we're doing overall. Oh, 1 minute left. We're doing great. So now we're looking for Pumpkin Pal. And what did I just name the other one? So I need this to alternate the naming. And we have it. So now we're expecting the day the professor croaked. And we've got a match there. Now we're expecting the bellyache mystery. No, we have potent brew. All right, so we're done copying. We're done ripping. So let me get that episode. So is the next one going to be the bellyache mystery?
Little cutie then, aren't you?
Yes, it is. So the next one should be Goodbye Jimmy. Unless that's mixed up too. No, we have a match. Then we expect Poltergeist Assignment. And that's what we have. And then hopefully the last one is Little Dragon. Bingo. Okay, so I wanted to show how versatile Filebot is. I could have simply named each episode S02, E06, and so on. But having the episode name in lets us verify how Filebot's going to pull it from both DVD or aired ordering if this was a possible DVD aired one. So some are just named for the episode. All right, so let's back up. We don't really need the season 2 in the title. That's more of a reminder of what we were looking for as we were consulting the database. So I can right click, open with other application, Filebots right at the top. And this is sized a little bit better under Pop OS. So let's do the default easy one by clicking match, going to episode modes for the section, and let me do the movie database first. That worked out. This one did not, for whatever reason. So this is interesting. That did not work at all. Let's try this again. And let's use the TVDB. Now that worked fine. And it looks like the rest are a match. So now let's use my expression that creates structure and pulls naming from the DVD order at TVDB. All right, the day the professor. Okay, so not even close, because this is expecting things to be a lot different. A potent brew was a match. Cappy's mail order eyes, doppelgangers, goodbye Jimmy, little dragons, monster movie, poltergeist. Quacky duck is matching as doppelgangers and totally bats. Yeah, so that's not right. So let's switch to my normal expression for aired ordering, creating structure, pulling from TVDB. All right, we have a potent brew. Let me do it this way. Cappy's mail order eyes, doppelgangers, goodbye Jimmy, a little dragon, monster movie, poltergeist assignment, quacky duck, totally bats, pumpkin pal, the bellyache mystery, and the day the professor croaked. So that's going to create structure. It'll add the year to the season, or to the show folder. It'll create the season 2 folder, and it will give very descriptive episode file names. Okay, so here we are, our full structure, and it didn't take too long to identify the options, or it didn't take too long to identify what episodes were which. Cartoons are usually easy because they have title cards in it. So sometimes you'll have a cartoon that might have 3 episodes in one file because they all aired on the same day, and 2 episodes may be about equal length, and sometimes there might be a short episode in between or at the end. So you just got to root around to find the title cards. All right, let's bring this to Plex. Or to my test server, let's say. Oh, that window's off screen. All right, so here's the sort library folder. I put the other movie into the main movie library, or the main TV show library folder. I could put this one in kids, but I'll add it here too. And let's see how long it's going to take. 45 seconds. Let's bring up the web app. It opened off screen. Let's change to that server. Go find the library. Okay, so it's already starting to detect the show. It's got some episodes in there. 2 episodes so far. And we're already detecting credits and intros. We've got episode names. This will fill in a second with more episodes. So we have 12 episodes, but we're missing something. We're missing an episode description. Alrighty, I cannot do anything while it's detecting intros, but let me just play out a hunch. Let me open the Plex HTPC client app, because this show, 2 seasons of it, is in my regular kids TV show library. I did not know I was signed on to this. Let's do this another way. Let's bring in the direct IP address web app. Okay, so this is pulling metadata from, or it's pulling episode ordering from TVDB. The special folder, we have descriptions on each episode. Season 1 folder, we have a description there, and a description there, and let's hit the last one. And no description on that one. So this may not be an issue with my test server or the way I rip the media. This may just be a poorly supported show with metadata not showing up. All right, so let's go into the season 2 folder. No episode description. Nothing there either. We have the episode name but no description. Okay, so something like this probably needs to be addressed in Plex's forum to see why this is going on, to alert them that there's incomplete metadata, and that sometimes happens for shows. So basically, we've got 2 successful rips. We did the episodes we had for the Casper Scare School, and we did the first season of The Family Guy, which honestly is more like any typical show. And again, if the jacket tells you what's on it, you don't really have to fuss too much to know. And a regular TV show, or this adult cartoon basically, doesn't have a title card to double check. The best you can do is, if things are really wacky for a show, is kind of get an idea of what's going on in the show to catch a little of the plot, and compare it to the episode name at either, or the episode description at either database. If you recognize a guest star, you can search Google to see which episode of the show that actor or actress was in. So I think that's about it. It's going to be a long video, but we really took care of 2 different dissimilar DVD rips, and we were successful on both, besides the little metadata issue for the Casper Scare School. Alright, happy plexing, and thanks for watching. And at the end of the video is a good place to do it. So, I've got a couple DVD rip videos already, and I've been trying to help someone through the Plexaholics group and through my YouTube channel. He's asked some questions, and it involves the same thing. And this is going out to Jason. Jason wants some magical software that can look inside a video and decipher text from the title card, and then take that information and apply it to both rename the episode and possibly take a screenshot of that title card to set as the Plex poster. Well, I think you'd have better luck finding a magic lamp and rubbing it and having a genie pop out, Jason. That's just not going to happen. And I think one of my videos involved ripping this same show, but it may have been disc 1. But I wanted to use it because I knew this show had title cards in the episodes to identify the episode. So I did a regular DVD rip and then this one to show you that the only useful part of title cards for a cartoon is to identify the file, to tell whether it's a single episode or whether there's multiple episodes in the one file. And you do that by comparing a few episodes to both the aired order and the DVD order at TVDB. TMDB is really useless for figuring out a kid's cartoon rip. If it doesn't match, then you're really trying to scratch your head to see. But at least you have the DVD order if a rip doesn't match an aired ordering listing like TMDB is, and you can go from there. So TVDB is great. You can pull both versions up at the same time and quickly figure out what's going on. And even with the last video or the last DVD I ripped, you saw that one was on a sequence. And it's not typical because I think this show was repackaged differently than it could have been. All right, so that's about it. Jason, I wish I could help you better, but this is about all you can do with title cards. Your own eyes are the supercomputer that gets used, is the supercomputer that gets used. So, everyone happy plexing, and I appreciate your viewership.